In the vast, silent desert, where time itself seems to stand still, a great story is etched in stone. Well, it is a story of power, ambition, and a king who sought to live forever. This is the story of Ramesses II, a pharaoh of ancient Egypt. He was a man who became a god, a warrior who became a peacemaker, and a builder whose shadow stretches across more than 3,000 years of history. His name echoes through the ages, whispered by the winds that sweep across the Nile Valley. We journey back to an age of gold and grandeur, to understand the world he shaped and the legacy he left behind for all time. We travel to a land defined by the rhythm of the great river Nile. This was ancient Egypt during its New Kingdom period, a time of immense wealth and influence. The pharaohs who ruled from their grand cities were not merely kings. They were seen as living gods on earth, conduits between the mortal world and the divine. They commanded vast armies, they controlled immense resources, and oversaw the creation of monuments that still defy belief. In this world of absolute authority and sacred duty, a young prince was born, destined to become the most celebrated ruler of them all, a king who would earn the title Ramesses the Great. To understand this king, we must first understand his world. It was a world of powerful empires, stretching from the sandy lands of Nubia in the south to the great kingdoms of the Hittites in the north. Trade routes were lifelines, carrying gold, timber, and exotic goods across deserts and seas. But these routes were also paths for armies, and conflict was a constant threat on the horizon. A pharaoh had to be Why is this one pharaoh remembered as the Great? The answer lies not in a single achievement, but in the sheer scale of everything he did. His reign was exceptionally long, giving him decades to solidify his power. He presided over a period of stability and prosperity, a golden age for his people. He was a masterful propagandist, using art and architecture to craft his image, as an invincible warrior and as a beloved son of the gods. His name, Ramesses, Ra has fashioned him, was carved on countless buildings, so it would never be forgotten. He is perhaps best known as a master builder. From the northern delta to the southern frontier of Nubia, he commissioned construction across the realm. He completed vast halls at Karnak and added to the beauty of Luxor. He founded a new capital, Pi-Ramesses, a bustling metropolis filled with palaces, barracks, temples. Most famously, he carved 2 temples out of a mountainside at Abu Simbel, their giant statues standing as eternal guards. But his story is also one of family and diplomacy. He was father to over 100 children. His chief wife, Queen Nefertari, was honoured with her own temple. After a great clash with the Hittites at Kadesh, he did something remarkable. He negotiated the world's first known international peace treaty, ending decades of conflict and ushering in stability. In this quiet exploration, we follow his life, from the glories of his reign to the moment of his death. We will see how he was laid to rest, mummified, entombed in the Valley of the Kings, prepared for the afterlife. We will witness his rediscovery in the modern era, as archaeologists uncovered his tomb, his mummy, and the treasures of his age. This is the story of one man's ambition to be remembered, Ozymandias, the King of Kings. The story of Ramesses the Great begins not on a throne, but in the royal courts of a new and powerful dynasty. He was born into a family that was not of ancient royal blood. His grandfather, Ramesses I, had been a commoner, a skilled military commander who rose through the ranks to become Pharaoh. This military background shaped the entire dynasty. They were soldiers first, pragmatic and determined to restore Egypt's strength after a period of internal turmoil. His father was Seti I, a formidable pharaoh in his own right. Seti was a great warrior and a prolific builder who began many of the projects his son would later complete. From his father, the young Ramesses learned the duties of kingship. He would have accompanied Seti on tours of the kingdom, watching as he administered justice and oversaw the construction of temples. He learned that a pharaoh's power was not just inherited, it was demonstrated. It was shown through military victory, through grand architecture, and through a constant visible connection to the gods. As a prince, Ramesses received a rigorous education. This was not just about reading and writing the complex hieroglyphic script. His training was designed to create a future king. He learned military strategy and how to command troops. He was taught to wield a bow and to drive a chariot, the most advanced weapon of its time. This was a critical skill for a leader who was expected to lead his armies from the front line of battle. He was one of many royal children, but it became clear early on that he was special. He was not the original heir. His older brother had been destined for the throne, but died young. This twist of fate placed Ramesses directly in the line of succession. From that moment, his life was no longer his own. It belonged to Egypt, and his every action was preparation for the day he would become the living embodiment of the god Horus on earth, the protector of his people. The transition of power in ancient Egypt was a sacred and carefully managed process. To prepare his son, Seti I took an unusual step. He appointed Ramesses as his co-regent when the prince was still a teenager. This meant that Ramesses shared the throne with his father, ruling alongside him. It was the ultimate apprenticeship. He was given real responsibilities, leading parts of the army and overseeing building projects. This practical experience was invaluable. It allowed him to understand the machinery of government, the loyalties of the court, and the immense pressures of leadership long before he had to bear them alone. This public elevation was a deliberate strategy, ensuring that when the time for succession came, the court and the country would see Ramesses as the undisputed and rightful heir. When his father, Seti I, passed away, Ramesses was around the age of 25. The transition was seamless, a testament to the careful planning that had preceded it. There was no struggle for power, no court intrigue to challenge his claim. He ascended the throne as the third pharaoh of the 19th dynasty, his authority already well established. His coronation would have been a magnificent ceremony, a series of complex rituals designed to confirm his divine status. At the temples of Karnak and Memphis, he was proclaimed king, his new royal name announced to the world, a name that would soon be carved across the entire country. One of his very first acts as sole ruler was to honor his father. He traveled south to Abydos, a sacred city dedicated to the god Osiris, lord of the afterlife. There, he completed the beautiful temple that his father had begun. He made grand offerings. He decreed that his father's memory should be revered forever. This was more than just an act of filial piety. It was a powerful political statement. By showing such devotion to his predecessor, Ramesses was reinforcing the legitimacy of his own family's dynasty. He was showing the world that he was a respectful son, a rightful heir, and a pharaoh who understood his sacred duties. With his position as pharaoh secure, Ramesses immediately turned his attention to the borders of his empire. A king's first duty was to protect his land, and Egypt's vast wealth was a constant temptation for its neighbours. Early in his reign, Ramesses led a military campaign into Nubia to quell a minor rebellion and reinforce Egyptian authority. The reliefs carved to commemorate this campaign show him as a powerful, dominant warrior, easily crushing his enemies, a clear warning to any who might challenge his rule. To the west, Ramesses moved decisively. He strengthened forts and garrisons, forming a defensive wall on the western frontier. His actions brought stability. His most significant challenge, however, lay to the northeast. This region was a contested buffer zone between the two great superpowers of the age, the Egyptian Empire and the Hittite Empire. In the second year of his reign, he led his army into Canaan to secure the coastal route. This was a prelude to a much larger conflict, a careful positioning of his forces for the struggle to come. In the fifth year of his reign, Ramesses prepared for a decisive move. His aim was the city of Kadesh. Ramesses gathered a large army. He divided it into corps. The march was a feat of logistics. He believed surprise could secure a swift victory. His generals advised caution. The pharaoh chose boldness. That choice would shape what came next. A sudden Hittite ambush struck one of these columns. It was a masterstroke of timing. The Hittite chariots struck hard and fast. The Egyptian line wavered and panic spread. In the chaos, Ramesses acted decisively. He rallied his personal guard. He drove his chariot straight into the heart of the fight. The scene, as the Egyptians carved it, is cinematic and intimate. The king appears almost alone against the tide. He fights with the ferocity of a god-king. His courage steadied his men. He turned near defeat into a tactical withdrawal that held the field. The battle ended without a decisive annihilation of either side. It was, in short, a stalemate dressed as triumph. Decades of intermittent raids and battles had left both sides wearied. A formal peace treaty was crafted many years later. It survives in copies on clay and stone. The treaty is remarkable for its clarity. It outlines borders and promises of non-aggression. It includes provisions for mutual aid, and even contains the first recorded clause for extradition. The agreement lasted for decades. He used marriages and gifts to bind alliances. For Ramesses, it was a crowning achievement. Diplomacy suited his image as much as warfare did. He learned to balance force with talk. In doing so, he secured peace that allowed his building projects and economy to flourish. With the northern borders secured by treaty, Ramesses turned his boundless energy inward to a building program of breathtaking scale. He did not just build, he built to overwhelm. Further south, he commanded the creation of his most famous monument, the temples of Abu Simbel. They carved 2 entire temples directly out of a living mountain. 4 colossal seated statues of the pharaoh, each over 20 meters high, were carved into the cliff face. They sit as eternal guardians, a permanent statement of Egyptian power. Nearby, he carved a smaller temple for his great royal wife, Queen Nefertari. Its facade features standing statues of the king and queen, given equal height, an unusual and significant honor. In his own funerary temple, the Ramesseum, it contained another colossal statue of himself, carved from a single block of granite, estimated to have weighed over 1,000 tons. The grand monuments of Ramesses II were the product of immense human effort, brilliant organization, and remarkable skill. These workers were not slaves. They were skilled artisans and laborers. Ramesses died in his early 90s, an extraordinary age for the ancient world. He had outlived his beloved Nefertari. He had outlived 12 of his own sons. His tomb was looted in antiquity, and to protect his body, ancient priests moved his mummy several times, hiding it in a secret cache. There he lay, for nearly 3 millennia, waiting to be found. The rediscovery of his mummy in 1881 was a moment of profound connection with the past. The face of the legendary king was seen once more. Modern science has allowed us to study him, revealing his arthritis, his dental problems, and even the reddish color of his hair. So why does the name of Ramesses II echo so loudly through history? The answer is written in the landscape of Egypt. His legacy is one of sheer, overwhelming scale. He was a master of propaganda. He crafted a powerful, consistent image of himself. He repeated that story until it became historical fact. His memory survives because he willed it to. Today, visitors from all over the world gaze in wonder at the serene faces of Abu Simbel. In these moments, they feel exactly what Ramesses intended, a sense of awe. His ambition was to conquer time itself. He built his story into the very fabric of his country. The sands of the desert may shift, but the shadow of Ramesses the Great remains. His story, etched in stone, continues to be told, a quiet, majestic testament to one man's will to live forever. Beneath the North African night, the Milky Way flows overhead, a celestial river that shaped the destiny of ancient Egypt. For Egyptians, the stars were more than distant lights. They were guides, gods, and the very clockwork of existence. Along the Nile, they looked to the sky to understand the rhythms of their world. Long before pyramids, Egyptians were astronomers tracking the moon, constellations, and the cycles of the heavens. The sky was a divine map, essential for survival, faith, and prosperity. Their observations predicted the Nile's floods, aligned monuments, and created a remarkably accurate calendar. The heavens offered order and the promise of renewal in a chaotic world. Join us as we journey from ancient stone circles to star-aligned temples, uncovering how practical needs evolved into a spiritual cosmology. The legacy of Egypt's stargazers endures in the way we understand our sky today. In ancient Egypt, science and religion were inseparable. The sky was home to gods, and celestial bodies their manifestations. The sun god Ra, the moon god Thoth, and the immortal stars shaped every aspect of life. Predicting the Nile's flood was vital, and the heliacal rising of Sirius or Sopdet became the cornerstone of their calendar. Egyptians created a 365-day calendar, organizing agriculture, festivals, and construction with cosmic precision. Astronomy was the engine of the state, the heart of religion, and the foundation of the economy. The pharaoh's authority depended on maintaining Ma'at, the cosmic order reflected in the heavens. From farmers to priests, all Egyptians lived by the rhythms of the stars. Understanding this connection unlocks the secrets of Egypt's enduring civilization. Egyptian astronomy began long before the pharaohs in the Green Sahara at Nabta Playa, where ancient people arranged stones to mirror the sky. These megaliths, predating Stonehenge, are among the world's oldest observatories. Over time, astronomical knowledge grew, culminating in the star-aligned pyramids of Giza, resurrection machines guiding pharaohs to the heavens. Temples like Karnak became cosmic instruments aligned to the solstice sun. Astronomy legitimized power and inspired awe. In Alexandria, Egyptian, Greek and Babylonian traditions merged, making it the scientific capital of the ancient world. Here, Ptolemy wrote the Almagest, shaping Western astronomy for centuries. Egypt's conversation with the stars left a legacy that endures to this day. To trace Egyptian astronomy's roots, we journey to a time when the Sahara was green and alive. Nomadic herders, guided by the stars, used the sky as compass and calendar. The sun, moon and constellations dictated migrations and survival. This was not formal science, but deep intuitive knowledge passed through generations. Celestial signals marked the coming rains and changing seasons. As the Sahara dried, these people migrated to the Nile, bringing their cattle, pottery, beliefs, and their astronomical wisdom. This knowledge, forged on the savannah, became foundational for Nile Valley civilization. The sky and earth were one, and understanding both was key to survival. The seeds of Egypt's greatness were sown by these early stargazers. Their legacy shaped the civilization that would rise along the Nile. In Egypt's western desert lies Nabta Playa, once a seasonal lake and gathering place for ancient nomads. Here, lines of standing stones form one of humanity's earliest astronomical instruments. The small stone circle, over 7,000 years old, marked the summer solstice and the arrival of monsoon rains. This celestial clock anchored their year and ensured survival. Larger megaliths align with the rising of stars like Sirius and Orion, creating a map of the night sky. Nabta Playa's alignments predate Stonehenge and the pyramids, revealing a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos. These people organized to quarry and erect massive stones with astronomical precision. Nabta Playa is a silent monument to humanity's first astronomers. It shows our ancient desire to find order in the cosmos. Their achievements laid the groundwork for Egypt's later scientific wonders. Nabta Playa's stones were more than markers. They formed a complex system for tracking celestial cycles. Gates in the central circle aligned with the solstice sunrise, confirming the cosmic order and the coming rains. Beneath the sands, a reverently buried cow hints at the sacred link between cattle, the sky, and later Egyptian deities like Hathor. The alignments allowed for a reliable calendar, essential for planning migrations and rituals. This practical astronomy brought structure to their lives and shaped their future. The stones are evidence of abstract thinking and long-term pattern recognition. Nabta Playa's principles of alignment and calendar making were carried to the Nile Valley. There they evolved into the magnificent science of the Pharaohs. The journey from desert stones to cosmic temples began here, under the ancient stars. The story of Nabta Playa and its stargazing inhabitants does not end in the desert. Around 3,800 BCE, the climate of North Africa shifted dramatically. The monsoons that had sustained the Green Sahara retreated south, and the land began its final transformation into the arid desert we know today. This profound environmental change forced a great migration. The cattle-herding peoples of the western oases packed up their belongings and moved east towards the one place where life could still flourish on a grand scale, the fertile, well-watered corridor of the Nile River Valley. This was a pivotal moment in human history. These migrants were not primitive hunter-gatherers. They were a people with a rich cultural and intellectual heritage. They brought with them their domesticated cattle, their sophisticated pottery techniques, and their complex social structures. Most importantly, they carried in their collective memory a deep and practical knowledge of the stars. This astronomical legacy, developed over countless generations in the open expanse of the savannah, would now be applied to a new environment with a different set of challenges and opportunities. The rhythm of life was no longer dictated by monsoon rains, but by the annual inundation of the great river. The astronomical skills honed at Nabta Playa proved to be perfectly adaptable. The need to predict the seasonal rains was replaced by the even more critical need to predict the Nile's flood. The ancient observers noticed that the flood arrived each year shortly after the star Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, reappeared at dawn. They applied their calendar-making skills to this new celestial event, creating the 365-day civil calendar that would become a hallmark of Egyptian civilization. The practice of aligning structures to the solstices and key stars, first seen in the desert stone circles, would evolve into the precise orientation of temples and pyramids. Thus, the prehistoric astronomy of the Sahara Desert did not vanish. It was transformed. It became the bedrock upon which the pharaonic state was built. The cattle cults of the desert may have evolved into the worship of celestial deities like Hathor and Nut. The chiefs who could interpret the heavens likely became the first priests and rulers. The legacy of Nabta-Playa is therefore profound. It demonstrates that the origins of Egyptian civilization and its extraordinary astronomical achievements lie not just on the banks of the Nile, but in the deeper past of the African continent, among a forgotten people who first learned to read the secrets written in the stars. As cultures unified along the Nile, astronomical knowledge shaped their state. They needed a calendar to govern their agricultural society. Building on traditions, they created a calendar. The early Egyptians turned their gaze to the sun and the stars, seeking a more constant and predictable measure of time for their burgeoning civilization. They observed the solar year was approximately 365 days long. The year was divided into 12 months of 30 days, plus 5 extra days for deities' birthdays. This calendar was consistent, aiding officials in calculations. This system united Egypt under a predictable rhythm. The year reflected the Nile's agricultural cycle. The Egyptians knew their 365-day calendar was not perfect and would slowly drift out of sync with the seasons. They used the star Sirius, which they called Sopdet, to reliably signal the start of the Nile's annual flooding. The helical rising of Sirius almost perfectly coincided with the first signs of the Nile's waters beginning to swell. The star's reappearance was the true New Year's Day, announcing the season of inundation. Her rising was a moment of immense religious significance, celebrated with festivals and rituals. The careful tracking of Sopdet's rising allowed the Egyptians to understand the slow drift of their calendar. The northern celestial pole held profound significance for the ancient Egyptians. They looked north to stars that never set, circling endlessly. These circumpolar stars symbolized eternity. The Egyptians called them the Ikimusek, the unwearying ones, the celestial destiny of the pharaohs. The Great Pyramid was aligned to the North Star Thuban. A shaft pointed to Thuban, a pathway for the pharaoh's soul to join the imperishable stars. This mapping was critical to their understanding of the cosmos. The north was the realm of eternity. This celestial map gave the Egyptians a sense of place within a divine universe. Dynastic astronomy was about formulating a comprehensive worldview, explaining the universe and humanity's place within it. For the ancient Egyptians, the organizing principle of everything was Ma'at, embodying truth, justice, balance, and cosmic order. Ma'at was the divine force that kept the universe functioning correctly. It ensured the sun would rise, the Nile would flood, and the stars would remain in their courses. The pharaoh was the earthly guarantor of Ma'at. His primary duty was to maintain this divine order. The daily journey of the sun god Ra across the sky, the monthly phases of the moon, and the annual return of Sopdet were all powerful demonstrations that the cosmic order was being upheld. Therefore, the study of astronomy was a sacred duty. This worldview is beautifully illustrated in their artistic representations of the cosmos. The sky was often depicted as the goddess Nut, her body arched over the earth, covered in stars. The earth itself was personified by the god Geb. It was a universe that was alive, a celestial family of gods whose actions created the world the Egyptians experienced every day. In the New Kingdom, temple complexes became models of the cosmos. These temples were astronomical instruments designed to capture sunlight at key moments, creating dramatic light and shadow. The Karnak temple complex exemplifies this, with its core design aligned astronomically. Its main axis aligns with the winter solstice sunrise. On this day, sunlight penetrates the gateway. It travels through halls to illuminate the inner sanctum. This event was powerful religious theatre, demonstrating the presence of the gods. The temples were dynamic machines, revealing a deep understanding of celestial mechanics. The Egyptian practice of celestial alignment was not confined to individual buildings. They thought on a much grander scale. They envisioned the entire landscape of Egypt as a sacred canvas upon which a reflection of the heavens could be drawn. The pyramids and temples were not isolated structures, but were often part of a much larger, interconnected plan. The placement of monuments relative to one another and relative to natural features like the Nile River was often deliberate and carried deep cosmological meaning. They were attempting to create a terrestrial reflection of the celestial world, weaving heaven and earth together into a single, unified whole. One of the most compelling theories in this field is the Orion correlation theory. This hypothesis suggests that the layout of the three main pyramids on the Giza Plateau was intentionally designed to mirror the three stars in the belt of the constellation Orion. Not only does the arrangement of the pyramids match the arrangement of the stars, but the relative brightness of the stars seems to be reflected in the relative sizes of the pyramids. Furthermore, the Nile River, flowing alongside the Giza Plateau, corresponds to the position of the Milky Way, the celestial river, in the sky relative to the constellation of Orion. This creates a breathtakingly ambitious star map on the ground. This concept of as above, so below was central to the Egyptian worldview. By recreating the pattern of the stars on the land, they were anchoring the divine order of the heavens firmly in their own kingdom. The land of Egypt would thus become a living embodiment of Ma'at, a place of perfect cosmic harmony. This sacred geography reinforced the divine nature of the kingdom and the legitimacy of the pharaoh who ruled over it. Walking through this landscape was like walking through the cosmos itself, with every temple and pyramid serving as a gateway to a specific celestial region or divine power. Whether every alignment was intentional is still debated by scholars, but the evidence for large-scale celestial planning is undeniable. From the solstitial alignments of Karnak to the stellar shafts of Khufu's pyramid, it is clear that the ancient Egyptians possessed a sophisticated, three-dimensional understanding of astronomy. They applied this knowledge not just to tell time or predict floods, but to shape their entire world. They built a civilization that was not just located on the earth, but was a conscious and deliberate reflection of the heavens, a kingdom aligned with the eternal and majestic rhythms of the universe. Within the temples, priests dedicated their lives to the sky. The Imai Unut, or Hour Watchers, were keepers of celestial knowledge. From rooftops they scanned the stars, using star clocks to track the movement of decans. They watched for celestial events, meticulously recording observations to fix dates of festivals. The Hour Watchers ensured celebrations happened at auspicious moments. They interpreted the divine language of the stars, ensuring Egypt navigated time in harmony with the cosmos. The Egyptian fascination with the cosmos extended powerfully into the realm of the dead. The tomb was not simply a final resting place. It was a microcosm of the universe designed to ensure a successful journey in the afterlife. The walls and ceilings of tombs were often decorated with elaborate astronomical scenes. These were functional cosmic maps, celestial guidebooks for the soul. Walking into a tomb is like stepping into another universe. The ceilings are often painted a deep, dark blue, representing the night sky. Upon this celestial canvas are painted the constellations, depicted as gods and goddesses. These images provided a map, allowing the soul to navigate the darkness. They were a practical guide for the afterlife, but they also had a powerful magical function. By depicting the eternal nature of the cosmos, the Egyptians believed they could bestow that same immortality upon the deceased. The daily journey of the sun god Ra was a model for the pharaoh's own resurrection. These tomb paintings provide us with a direct window into the Egyptian understanding of the cosmos. The tomb became a sealed copy of the universe where the cycles of time would play out for eternity. The Temple of Hathor in Dendera features the renowned Dendera Zodiac, a magnificent map of the heavens created around 50 BCE. It represents a fusion of Egyptian astronomy with Greek and Babylonian ideas. The zodiac is a circular bas-relief featuring familiar constellations. It blends traditions, incorporating new knowledge while retaining its unique character. The disk depicts planets as gods sailing in celestial boats. It's a complex clock, calendar, and cosmological diagram. The Dendera Zodiac encapsulates the journey of Egyptian stargazing. It reminds us that the sky was a vibrant realm, guiding them in life and death. Egyptian astronomy entered a brilliant final chapter. In 332 BCE, Alexander the Great brought Egypt into the Greek world, founding Alexandria. It became the Hellenistic world's intellectual heart, a multicultural metropolis. Alexandria became a crucible where Egyptian wisdom was reforged with Greek cosmology. Egyptians brought vast observational data and star charts. The Greeks sought mathematical models of the cosmos. Babylonian astronomy added mathematical prowess. Scholars combined Egyptian, Greek, and Babylonian traditions. The Museum and Great Library was a research institute. Scholars like Eratosthenes and Hipparchus worked here. Alexandria amplified Egypt's legacy, preparing it for the future. In the 2nd century CE, long after Alexandria had passed from Greek to Roman rule, the city produced its most celebrated astronomer. His name was Claudius Ptolemy. Though he was a Roman citizen who wrote in Greek, he lived and worked in Alexandria, the inheritor of centuries of accumulated Egyptian, Greek, and Babylonian knowledge. Ptolemy was a polymath, writing on geography, astrology, and music, but his greatest contribution was his monumental work on astronomy. This book, originally called the Mathematical Treatise, would become known to posterity by its Arabic name, the Almagest, meaning the greatest. It was a title it thoroughly deserved. The Almagest was a comprehensive masterpiece. In its 13 books, Ptolemy gathered and synthesized all the astronomical knowledge of his time into a single coherent system. He presented a detailed mathematical model of the universe that could predict the positions of the sun, moon, and planets with remarkable accuracy for its time. His model was geocentric, placing a stationary Earth at the center of the cosmos. To explain the complex and sometimes backward or retrograde motions of the planets, he used an ingenious system of circles on circles, known as deferents and epicycles. It was a complex but workable model that accounted for what observers saw in the sky. Ptolemy's work was not just about theory, it was grounded in observation. He drew heavily on the star catalogue of his predecessor Hipparchus, refining it and adding to it. He included a list of over 1,000 stars organized into 48 constellations, many of which we still recognize today. The Almagest provided tables that allowed users to compute the positions of celestial bodies for any given date. It was a complete astronomical toolkit, a user's manual for the entire universe as it was then understood. Its combination of theoretical elegance and practical utility made it an indispensable text for any serious astronomer. The influence of the Almagest was immense and long-lasting. For more than 1,400 years, it was the foundational text for astronomy in the Byzantine, Islamic, and Western European worlds. It was copied, translated, and studied by generations of scholars. It so successfully explained the heavens that it became the undisputed authority, its geocentric model going largely unchallenged until the work of Copernicus in the 16th century. Ptolemy, working in Roman Egypt, had created the final, crowning achievement of ancient astronomy. His work stands as a powerful testament to the intellectual legacy of Alexandria, a city built on Egyptian soil and nurtured by its ancient tradition of looking to the stars. Ancient Egyptian astronomy, from prehistoric stone circles to Ptolemy's models, spans 5,000 years. One lasting gift is the 365-day calendar. Adopted by Julius Caesar, it evolved into the Gregorian calendar. The concept of dividing the day into 24 hours comes from the Egyptian system of tracking day and night. The idea of mapping the sky is a tradition that Egypt perfected. Meticulous records provided data for later Greek and Roman astronomers. The astronomical alignments of the pyramids continue to inspire awe. They remind us of a civilization seeking harmony between earthly existence and the cosmic order. The greatest legacy is the spirit of inquiry, finding meaning in the night sky. From the stones of Nabta to the libraries of Alexandria, ancient Egyptian astronomy reveals humanity's quest for its place in the universe. Etched into Egypt's landscape, from star-aligned pyramids to sun-drenched temples, it wove together agriculture, religion and the state, guided by the stars. Their contributions echo today. Our calendar descends from their 365-day system. The 24-hour day has roots in temple hour watches. The cosmos, as an ordered place, was embodied in Ma'at, the divine order. This culminated in Ptolemy's Almagest, defining the Western universe for a millennium. Knowledge of the pharaohs became the foundation for the future. The light of Sopdet became a beacon of knowledge. When we look up, we see through ancient Egyptian eyes. Their cosmic perspective endures, connecting us to those first stargazers on the Nile. In Luxor, on the east bank of the Nile, stands the Karnak temple complex, the largest ancient religious site on Earth. For over 2,000 years, pharaohs and priests expanded this sacred city of temples, chapels and obelisks, all dedicated to the Theban triad Amun-Re, Mut and Khonsu. Entering Karnak is stepping into a world shaped by devotion and ambition. At its core lies the great hypostyle hall, an architectural marvel that feels built for giants. Imagine leaving the blazing sun for a forest of stone columns, their sheer size humbling all who enter. Sunlight filters from above, illuminating intricate carvings, pharaohs making offerings, scenes of battle and sacred rituals etched with astonishing skill. The hall's design evokes the primeval swamp of creation, with columns like papyrus stalks rising toward a star-painted ceiling. To walk here is to journey through creation itself, connecting the mortal and divine. The great hypostyle hall story is woven into the rise of Egypt's new kingdom, a time of power and architectural ambition. Construction began around 1290 BC under Seti I, though earlier rulers may have laid its foundations. Such projects spanned generations. Seti started the hall, but his son, Ramesses II, completed most of the columns and decorations. Ramesses II's cartouches and reliefs dominate the southern half, while later pharaohs added their own marks. The hall's layered history reflects Egypt's enduring devotion to Amun-Re and the temple's central role in state and religion. Building the hall was a slow, deliberate act, mirroring the lasting importance of Karnak itself. Seti, a powerful restorer of Egypt's glory, envisioned the great hypostyle hall as a processional way to honour Amun-Re. After Seti's death, Ramesses II, one of history's most prolific builders, completed the hall, filling it with reliefs of his victories and devotion. In ancient Egypt, the pharaoh was credited as the architect, though skilled officials and priests managed the work. The hall's reliefs reveal the transition between Seti's refined, deeply cut carvings and Ramesses' faster, dramatic sunk reliefs. This succession is visible in the art. Seti's work is delicate and detailed. Ramesses is bold and expansive. The hall stands as a testament to their ambition and the evolving artistry of their reigns. Each pharaoh's additions reinforced their divine authority and left a lasting mark on Karnak's legacy. The result is a monument that embodies both continuity and change in Egypt's golden age. The great hypostyle hall's genius lies in its scale and manipulation of space and light. Spanning over 5,000 square meters, it contains 134 colossal columns in 16 rows, creating a stone forest that dwarfs visitors. The central nave, flanked by 2 rows of 12 towering columns with open papyrus capitals, soars to 21 meters. The remaining 122 columns, shorter and capped with closed buds, line the side aisles. This height difference allowed for clerestory windows, stone grilles that let sunlight pierce the gloom, spotlighting the processional path. Light and shadow were used to focus attention and evoke mystery, enhancing the hall's sanctity. Massive sandstone blocks were transported by river and raised with earthen ramps, a feat of ancient engineering. As construction advanced, ramps were raised, stones set, and artists followed to carve and paint the exposed surfaces. The hall's design was both practical and symbolic, representing the cosmos and the journey from chaos to order. Every architectural choice reinforced the connection between the pharaoh, the gods, and the universe. The result is a space that inspires awe and reverence even millennia later. Karnak was Egypt's religious capital, the earthly seat of Amun-Re, whose power was tied to the pharaoh's own. Known as the most select of places, it was seen as the world's point of creation. The temple complex wielded immense economic and political power, employing thousands and rivaling the pharaoh in influence. The great hypostyle hall served as a grand processional entrance to Amun's inner sanctum, a threshold between the public and the sacred. During festivals, the pharaoh and priests led processions through the illuminated nave, while commoners glimpsed the rites from the shadowy aisles. Every relief reinforces the pharaoh's role as divine intermediary, making offerings and receiving power from Amun-Re. The hall was both a spiritual centre and a monumental statement of royal legitimacy. Its carvings immortalized the sacred bond between king and god, ensuring order and prosperity. The hall's walls and columns are a visual library, chronicling Egypt's history and theology in stone. Reliefs depict Seti I's and Ramesses II's military triumphs, chariots, captives, and the legendary Battle of Kadesh, serving as royal propaganda. Inside, religious scenes show pharaohs making offerings to Amun-Re, Mut, Khonsu, and other gods, repeated in rhythmic patterns. Hieroglyphic texts record titles, prayers, and even the world's earliest known peace treaty between Ramesses II and the Hittites. These carvings document not just events, but the sacred duties of kingship, ensuring divine favour for eternity. The hall's inscriptions are a treasure trove for Egyptologists, revealing the rituals, politics, and diplomacy of the new kingdom. Every surface tells a story of war, worship, and the eternal quest for order. The hall's art is both a record and a ritual, perpetually enacting Egypt's cosmic drama. For millennia, the great hypostyle hall stood resilient, but in 1899, disaster struck. 11 massive columns on the northern side collapsed, their fall echoing across Karnak. The culprit centuries of Nile floods had weakened the sandstone foundations, while salt crystals from groundwater slowly crumbled the stone. A particularly high flood finally tipped the balance, toppling the columns. The collapse was a tragedy, but it sparked a new era of conservation. French engineer Georges Legrand led a pioneering restoration, numbering each fragment and rebuilding the columns on reinforced foundations. This meticulous work saved the hall and set standards for modern archaeological preservation. The restoration revealed the hall's vulnerabilities and its enduring strength. Today the hall stands as both a marvel of ancient engineering and a triumph of modern conservation. The hall holds secrets beyond its grandeur. Traces of ancient artists' red and black paint, revealing the creative process behind the carvings. Later graffiti, from Coptic crosses to 19th century travellers' names, tells of the hall's afterlife as a place of worship and wonder. The hall's alignment and clerestory windows allowed sunlight to mark solstices, integrating architecture with astronomy and ritual. During restoration, engineers discovered recycled blocks from Akhenaten's dismantled temples hidden within the hall's walls. These Talatat blocks offered rare glimpses into a lost era, showing how history was both preserved and erased. The hall's stones are a palimpsest, layered with stories from pharaohs, priests and pilgrims across millennia. Every detail, from ancient drafts to modern graffiti, adds depth to its legacy. The hall is not just a monument, but a living record of Egypt's evolving identity. The great hypostyle hall's influence reaches far beyond Egypt, inspiring artists, architects and scholars worldwide. Its scale and mystery fueled Egyptomania in the West, shaping art, literature and even opera. For Egyptologists, the hall is a primary source, its reliefs and inscriptions unlocking the secrets of the new kingdom. For Egyptians, it is a symbol of national pride and a vital link to their ancient heritage. The hall draws visitors from around the globe, each seeking to experience its awe and connect with history. In 1979, Karnak was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognizing its universal value. The hall's preservation is a shared responsibility, ensuring its wonders endure for future generations. It stands as a testament to the enduring power of faith, creativity, and human ambition. To walk through the great hypostyle hall today is to touch a past that spans more than 3,000 years. The columns still stand, silent witnesses to the rise and fall of civilizations and the turning of the stars. The hall is an experience, cool shadows, towering columns and shafts of light animating ancient reliefs. It inspires wonder, contemplation and a sense of connection to humanity's creative spirit. Architecturally, it pushed the limits of stone. Religiously, it was the heart of Egypt's greatest sanctuary. The hall chronicles the ambition of pharaohs and the artistry of their people. As we leave, its scale and silence linger, reminding us of the depth of time and the legacy of human achievement. The great hypostyle hall is not just a relic. It is a living monument, still teaching and inspiring. It is, and will remain, one of the world's true wonders. Its story is our story, a testament to what humanity can dream and build. But even after centuries of study, the great hypostyle hall continues to surprise us. Recent research has revealed secrets long hidden in plain sight. Laser scanning and digital mapping have uncovered faint inscriptions and graffiti, some carved by priests, others by ancient tourists, each leaving their mark on history. Archaeologists have discovered traces of vibrant pigments, suggesting the hall was once awash in brilliant colour, its columns painted in reds, blues and golds that would have dazzled any visitor. Beneath the massive floor stones, ground-penetrating radar has hinted at hidden chambers and forgotten foundations, sparking new theories about the hall's earliest phases. Some scholars now believe that the orientation of its columns aligns with celestial events, turning the hall into a vast astronomical calendar that marked the passage of seasons and sacred festivals. And while the hall was built for the gods, it also became a living canvas for generations of Egyptians, each era adding its own chapter, from pharaohs to commoners. Even today, conservationists and historians work in its shadow, piecing together lost stories and preserving its grandeur for the future. The great hypostyle hall is more than stone and legend. It is a place where ancient mysteries meet modern discovery, where every column still has a story to tell if you know where to look. As we journey deeper into the story of the great hypostyle hall, new wonders continue to emerge, reminding us that this ancient marvel still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. Did you know that some of the colossal columns are inscribed with the names of pharaohs whose reigns lasted only months, yet their marks endure for millennia? or that the hall's acoustics were deliberately engineered, amplifying chants and prayers so they resonated like the voice of the gods themselves. Recent studies using ultraviolet light have revealed ghostly images of ancient art, invisible to the naked eye. These hidden scenes suggest that the hall was once a vibrant theatre for rituals, processions, and even political ceremonies that shaped the destiny of Egypt. Archaeologists have also uncovered small artifacts, amulets offering vessels and fragments of jewellery lost beneath the flagstones, each object a silent witness to the lives of priests and pilgrims who once filled these spaces. Perhaps most astonishing, satellite imagery has traced the ancient Nile's shifting path, revealing how the river once flowed closer to Karnak. This proximity may have been crucial, allowing stone blocks weighing dozens of tons to be transported directly to the temple's heart, an engineering feat that still inspires awe. The great hypostyle hall is not just a relic of the past, it is a living laboratory for discovery. With every new technology and every fresh perspective, we peel back another layer of its story, reminding us that history is never truly finished, and the greatest wonders may still be waiting just beneath the surface. Imagine a place where the golden sands of the desert embrace the life-giving waters of the Nile, a place where the echoes of ancient rituals still resonate within towering stone walls. 60 kilometers north of Luxor, rising majestically from the sands, lies the Dendera temple complex. This sprawling site is not just a collection of stones, it's a portal to a world of gods, pharaohs, and the enduring mysteries of ancient Egypt. This sanctuary, primarily dedicated to the goddess Hathor, the embodiment of love, beauty, music, and motherhood, is one of Egypt's best-preserved temple sites, a testament to centuries of unwavering devotion and unparalleled architectural mastery. Its remarkably intact state offers a unique glimpse into the religious practices and artistic achievements of the time. The main temple's colossal facade, adorned with intricate carvings and towering columns, dominates the landscape, a powerful statement of divine presence. Its sheer scale and breathtaking beauty are immediately striking, leaving visitors in awe of the ingenuity and artistry of its builders. Dendera's strategic location on the west bank of the Nile, a region deeply associated with the afterlife and rebirth in ancient Egyptian beliefs, was carefully chosen with profound symbolic intent. Known in antiquity as Unet or Tantere, it served as the capital of Upper Egypt's 6th province, a significant administrative and cultural centre. It was also a vibrant hub of religious activity for millennia, drawing pilgrims and priests alike to participate in elaborate ceremonies and honour the gods. For centuries, the desert sands acted as a protective shroud, preserving Dendera from the ravages of time and the elements. This natural preservation allows us today to step back in time and experience a past that feels remarkably intact, offering an unparalleled connection to ancient Egypt. Unlike the partially ruined complexes of Karnak or Luxor, where much has been lost to the ages, Dendera's exceptional completeness allows us to vividly imagine the world of the pharaohs and their Roman successors, offering a more immersive and comprehensive understanding of their beliefs and practices. Even now, faded colours still cling to the walls and ceilings, whispering stories of vibrant processions and sacred rituals. These remnants of pigment offer a tantalizing hint at the temple's original splendor, a dazzling display of artistic expression. The complex we see today largely dates from the Ptolemaic and Roman periods, reflecting the influence of these later rulers on Egyptian culture and architecture. However, its sacred roots delve much deeper, reaching back to Egypt's earliest dynastic days, suggesting a site of religious significance for millennia. Each ruler who contributed to its construction and embellishment added a chapter to a story thousands of years in the making, leaving their mark on its walls and pillars. Dendera stands as a living chronicle of Egypt's spiritual and political evolution, a testament to the enduring power of its civilization. It is a place where ancient Egyptian traditions met new influences from the Greco-Roman world, creating a unique fusion of artistic and religious expression. It stands as a unique and timeless testament, a beacon of human ingenuity and spiritual aspiration. Dendera is a powerful reminder of the enduring power of faith, the boundless capacity for creativity, and the enduring legacy of ancient Egypt. The construction of Dendera is not just a building project, it's a sprawling saga, a testament to the enduring power of faith and the ambition of rulers across millennia. Its story was written by many hands, a collaborative effort unfolding across generations, each leaving their indelible mark on its stones. The inscriptions themselves offer glimpses into the past, mentioning Old Kingdom rulers like Pepi I, revealing a history that stretches back to the very dawn of Egyptian civilization. These rulers were already restoring a sanctuary that was ancient even in their time, highlighting the cyclical nature of preservation and renewal in Egyptian culture. Later, pharaohs of the Middle Kingdom, with their own visions of grandeur, and those of the New Kingdoms, including the powerful Thutmose III and the celebrated Ramesses II, each left their mark, adding to the temple's rich tapestry of history and devotion. Sadly, many of their structures are mostly lost, either through the ravages of time or incorporated into the later building projects. Their contributions now whispers in the stones. This continuous patronage, spanning across dynasties and centuries, clearly shows Dendera's lasting importance as a sacred site and a symbol of Egyptian identity. It reveals that every dynasty, regardless of its origins or ambitions, sought to honor Hathor, the goddess of love, music and motherhood, and to connect with Egypt's deep traditions. However, the most significant building phase, the one that truly shaped the temple as we see it today, began under the rule of the Ptolemies, the Greek dynasty that followed Alexander the Great. These Ptolemaic rulers, though Greek in origin and culture, astutely embraced Egyptian religion and traditions as a means to legitimize their rule in the eyes of the Egyptian people. It was they who initiated the construction of the grand Temple of Hathor, a monumental undertaking that would define Dendera for centuries to come. This ambitious project continued for nearly 2 centuries, a testament to the Ptolemies' commitment to integrating themselves into the fabric of Egyptian society. Later, when Rome conquered Egypt, adding it to its vast empire, Roman emperors like Augustus and Nero, following the Ptolemaic example, added their own images and cartouches to the temple walls and even completed the magnificent hypostyle hall, seamlessly blending their legacy with that of ancient Egypt. Dendera's seamless transition from Ptolemaic to Roman patronage is a remarkable example of cultural continuity, and it highlights the extraordinary resilience of Egyptian culture in the face of foreign rule and influence. The temple, like a living organism, absorbed new rulers and their influences, yet remained firmly rooted in its ancient worldview, its core beliefs and traditions. In the end, it stands as a powerful monument to Egypt's unique ability to adapt, endure and inspire awe across the ages, a beacon of cultural strength shining through the sands of time. At Dendera's heart, rising majestically from the sands of time, stands the Temple of Hathor. Its imposing facade hints at the wonders held within, a testament to the ingenuity and artistry of the ancient Egyptians. Remarkably, it is more a preserved marvel than a ruin, offering an unparalleled glimpse into the religious practices and beliefs of a civilization long past. The temple's state of preservation allows us to truly appreciate the grandeur and sophistication of its design. Called the Castle of the Sistrum, a sacred musical instrument, it was believed to be Hathor's earthly home, a tangible bridge between the mortal realm and the heavens above. This temple served as a focal point for worship and connection with the divine. The temple's architecture is deeply cosmic, reflecting the ancient Egyptians' understanding of the universe and their place within it. Every element was carefully considered to create a harmonious and spiritually significant space. The very floors beneath our feet represent the earth, solid and grounding, connecting the temple to the physical world. The towering columns, adorned with plant capitals of lotus and papyrus, symbolize primordial plants, representing the life-giving forces of nature and the fertile lands of Egypt. And the ceilings above are painted to depict the starry sky, a celestial map filled with astronomical symbols and constellations reminding visitors of the vastness of the cosmos. The hypostyle hall, a forest of 24 columns, each meticulously crafted and topped with the serene face of Hathor, creates a profound sense of divine welcome, enveloping visitors in the goddess's gentle presence. The ceiling here is not just decoration, it's a painted map of the heavens, meticulously detailed with astronomical zodiac constellations, charting the sun's daily and yearly journey across the sky. Hathor, the beloved goddess of love, joyous music and nurturing motherhood, was central to Egyptian life. But she was also revered as a fierce protector, a powerful deity who guided souls through the perils of the afterlife, ensuring their safe passage to eternity. The temple was a vibrant center of activity, celebrating all aspects of Hathor's multifaceted nature, hosting elaborate festivals filled with music and dance. It was also a place of healing, where sacred rituals were performed to alleviate suffering and restore balance to the body and spirit. And it served as a conduit for divine wisdom, with oracles delivering prophecies and guidance to those who sought answers from the gods. As visitors progressed through the temple, they moved from the brightly lit hypostyle hall into increasingly darker and more sacred chambers, symbolizing a journey inward towards spiritual enlightenment. This journey culminated in the Holy of Holies, the innermost sanctuary, the most sacred space within the entire temple complex. Only the high priest, the intermediary between the goddess and the people, was permitted to enter this innermost sanctuary to tend to the goddess's cult statue, performing rituals to honor and sustain her divine presence. Every space within the Temple of Hathor was meticulously designed for ritual, reinforcing Hathor's presence and power, ensuring that her influence permeated every aspect of daily life. Today, the Temple of Hathor remains a living symbol of Egypt's rich spiritual imagination, a testament to the enduring power of belief and the remarkable achievements of ancient civilization. On the temple's roof, a small chapel once held the Dendera Zodiac, a masterpiece of ancient astronomy. The original circular bas-relief, now in the Louvre, is a map of the heavens as seen by the Egyptians. It fuses Greco-Roman zodiac signs with traditional Egyptian constellations, blending cultures and knowledge. Planets appear as deities in celestial boats, reflecting a sophisticated understanding of the cosmos. The zodiac's placement in a chapel dedicated to Osiris linked the cycles of stars to death and rebirth. Its circular design symbolized the eternal nature of time and cosmic order. When the zodiac was removed to Paris, it sparked debates about the age of the world and Egypt's scientific legacy. Later analysis dated it to the late Ptolemaic period, around 50 BCE. The Dendera Zodiac remains a unique artifact, revealing the depth of ancient Egyptian astronomy and cross-cultural exchange. It is a testament to the Egyptians' quest to understand their place in the universe. Beyond the Temple of Hathor, Dendera's complex unfolds as a tapestry of sacred spaces. A massive mud brick wall once enclosed the precinct, separating the divine from the everyday. Entering through the Roman-built northern gateway, visitors followed a processional way to the main temple. To the right stands the original birthhouse, or Ramesses of Nectanebo, dedicated to the divine birth of Horus and the Pharaoh. Nearby, the ruins of a Coptic basilica show how the site was repurposed in Christian times. Behind the main temple, the Roman-era Temple of Isis tells the story of Osiris's death and rebirth under Hathor's protection. The complex also includes a sacred lake for priestly purification and a sanatorium where pilgrims sought healing dreams from Hathor. Dendera was more than a temple. It was a center of worship, healing and community life. Its layers reveal Egypt's evolving spiritual landscape. Deep in the temple's crypts, mysterious reliefs known as the Dendera Light have fueled debate for decades. These carvings show bulb-like objects with serpents inside, connected to boxes resembling jade pillars. Fringe theories claim these are ancient electrical devices, explaining how Egyptians lit dark interiors without soot. Mainstream Egyptologists, however, see rich symbolism: the bulb as the sky goddess's womb, the serpent as the sun's creative force, the lotus as rebirth, and the jade as stability. There's no evidence for ancient electricity. No bulbs, filaments or batteries have been found. Egyptians used mirrors and clean-burning lamps for illumination. The Dendera light is a mythological scene, not a technological blueprint. It's a striking example of how ancient art can inspire both wonder and wild speculation. South of the main temple stands the Roman Ramesses, or birth house, one of Dendera's best-preserved buildings. Dedicated to the divine birth of Ihi, son of Hathor and Horus, the Ramesses was the stage for rituals celebrating both myth and royal legitimacy. Built by Augustus and decorated by Trajan and Hadrian, its reliefs show Roman emperors as Egyptian pharaohs making offerings to the gods. The building blends Egyptian and Greco-Roman styles, reflecting the era's cultural fusion. Vivid reliefs depict Hathor's pregnancy, Ihi's birth, and his presentation to the gods. These scenes reinforce the emperor's divine right to rule Egypt. During festivals, Hathor's statue was carried in procession to the Ramesses, symbolizing the reunion of the divine family. The Ramesses was central to Dendera's religious life and remains a window into Roman Egypt's spiritual world. It stands as a symbol of adaptation and enduring tradition. Dendera's walls and crypts are a treasure trove of history and intrigue. On the rear wall, the only known relief of Cleopatra VII and her son Caesarion shows them presenting offerings, a poignant bid for legitimacy. The temple's 14 crypts hidden below stored sacred objects and are covered in detailed reliefs, protected from centuries of damage. Exploring these chambers reveals the secret workings of the ancient priesthood. The temple's roof too was a ritual space, with chapels and kiosks for ceremonies like the New Year's dawn, when Hathor's statue greeted the rising sun. Modern restoration has uncovered the original vibrant colours of the hypostyle hall's astronomical ceiling, transforming our view of the temple's splendour. Each discovery adds new layers to Dendera's story. The temple continues to yield secrets, connecting us to the rituals and lives of its ancient builders. Dendera is not just a relic, it's a living archive of Egypt's past. Its walls still speak, inviting us to listen and learn. Dendera is more than an archaeological site. It's a testament to the enduring power of faith and culture. For millennia, it bridged the human and divine, witnessing dynasties, empires, and shifting beliefs. Its preservation offers the most complete glimpse of a Greco-Roman temple in Egypt. Dendera's reliefs and architecture are a stone textbook, teaching us about gods, astronomy, politics, and daily life. Today, it inspires tourists, scholars and seekers alike, sparking new questions and interpretations. Debates over the Dendera light and the Zodiac show the site's ongoing role in our quest for knowledge. Standing in the hypostyle hall, beneath Hathor's gaze and a ceiling of stars, you feel a timeless connection. Dendera reminds us that the search for meaning and beauty is eternal. It is not just a monument to the past, but a mirror reflecting our own enduring curiosity. The echo of Dendera's legacy still resonates, inviting us to wonder and explore. Imagine standing in the vast sun-scorched desert of Egypt. The wind whispers secrets of millennia past, carrying grains of sand. Before you stands a structure unlike any other, a colossal staircase reaching towards the heavens. This is not one of the smooth-sided pyramids of Giza. This is older, the Pyramid of Djoser, a revolutionary leap in human history and architecture. In the Sakara necropolis, it is a silent storyteller. Weathered stones tell a tale of ambition and innovation. For nearly 4,700 years it has stood, a reminder of the Third Dynasty. It marks the moment when massive stone building became possible. Before this, royal tombs were simple mastabas of mud brick. Djoser shattered that tradition and created the blueprint for future pyramids. It wasn't just a tomb, it was a resurrection machine. 6 stepped layers rise over 60 meters, a ladder to the celestial realm. The structure was the heart of a vast complex dedicated to the king's eternal life. Temples, courtyards, dummy buildings, and for the first time, an entire complex built entirely of stone. Now we begin our journey back in time. We'll uncover the story of this monument. We'll explore the pharaoh with a grand vision. We'll explore the genius architect who brought it to life. We'll delve into the secrets of construction. We'll examine the challenges faced by its builders. We'll trace the legacy it left behind. The Pyramid of Djoser is the starting point of the Pyramid Age, the grandparent of all pyramids. Its story, audacious dreams realized in stone, still captivating us today. Before the Pyramid of Djoser pierced the Egyptian sky, the final resting places of pharaohs were markedly different. For centuries, kings were buried in mastabas, rectangular, flat-roof structures made primarily of sun-dried mud bricks. The word mastaba is Arabic for stone bench, and these tombs resembled just that, large, simple benches sitting upon the desert sand. They were functional, protecting the deceased and their worldly possessions for the afterlife. However, they lacked the monumental scale and divine symbolism that would come to define the pyramids. Below the mastaba's superstructure, a deep shaft led to a subterranean burial chamber where the pharaoh was laid to rest. The structure above ground contained chapels and rooms for offerings, allowing the living to honor the king's spirit. While some mastabas were impressive, they were bound by the limitations of their materials. Mud brick was perishable, susceptible to erosion and decay over time. The dream of a truly eternal home had not yet been fully realized in stone. The transition to a towering stone pyramid was not just architectural evolution, it was a profound ideological shift. It changed how Egyptians viewed the king's connection to the gods. The pharaoh was seen as a divine intermediary, a link between the earthly and the celestial. A grander, more permanent tomb was needed to reflect this elevated status and aid the king's ascent to the stars. The idea of stacking mastabas to create a stairway was both literal and symbolic. This required a bold vision and mastery of new technologies and organization. Building with massive stone blocks was a different challenge than mud bricks. It demanded a large, skilled workforce, sophisticated quarrying techniques, and an unprecedented level of planning and engineering. The construction of Djoser's pyramid was a national project, mobilizing resources across the kingdom. It forever altered Egyptian architecture and set a new standard for royal monuments. The story of the first pyramid begins with two remarkable individuals, a visionary pharaoh and his brilliant architect. The pharaoh was Netjerikhet, more famously known as Djoser. He ruled around 2670 BCE as the first king of the Third Dynasty. Djoser's reign brought stability and prosperity. It marked the start of the Old Kingdom, a golden age of achievement. Djoser wanted a tomb to secure his afterlife and to proclaim his divine authority on earth. To build it, he turned to his trusted official, Imhotep. Imhotep was no ordinary courtier, a true polymath serving as Djoser's vizier, chief minister, and as high priest of Ra at Heliopolis. He was skilled in medicine, writing, and administration. But his architectural talent is what made him immortal. Imhotep is considered the first named architect in history. He conceived and executed the plan for the world's first large-scale stone building. The original idea was conventional, a large, square mastaba built of stone instead of mud brick. That was already innovative, far more durable and impressive. But Imhotep didn't stop there. The project evolved through stages. He enlarged the mastaba, then began stacking smaller mastabas on top. Layer after layer, each smaller than the one below, until a six-stepped pyramid emerged. Archaeologists can still trace that evolution today. It shows experimentation and daring innovation. Imhotep was inventing monumental stone architecture as he worked, solving engineering problems with no precedent. The result was more than a tomb, a landmark of human ingenuity. A structure that seemed to reach for the divine, cementing the legacies of Djoser, the king, and Imhotep, the genius who made it real. The construction of the step pyramid began with a monumental task, sourcing and moving an immense quantity of stone. The primary material for the core was locally quarried limestone, but a much finer, higher quality white limestone was chosen for the outer casing. This brilliant white stone came from Tura, on the opposite bank of the Nile. Tura limestone was prized for purity and brightness. It would make the pyramid gleam. Transporting these massive blocks, some weighing several tons, was a formidable challenge. Egyptians used wooden sledges dragged by teams of men. To reduce friction, workers likely wetted the sand in front of the sledge. The scale is difficult to comprehend. It's estimated about 850,000 tons of stone were moved. It was an unprecedented logistical feat overseen by Imhotep. He coordinated the quarrying teams, the boat crews on the Nile, and the hundreds of labourers dragging the sledges across the sand. Once the stone arrived at Sakara, the next great challenge was to lift it into place. For the lower levels, workers likely used earthen ramps or rubble ramps, which they built up against the side of the structure. A key innovation was the method of laying the stones. Instead of horizontal courses, the builders laid them in courses that were angled inwards, leaning against a central core. This technique, known as accretion, added stability. While direct evidence is scarce, it is theorized that the builders may have used short, straight ramps for the lower levels and perhaps a more sophisticated system of spiraling ramps for the upper tiers. Beneath the pyramid, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers was excavated from the living rock, creating a complex subterranean world for the king. This network included the central burial chamber located at the bottom of a 28-metre deep shaft, as well as galleries for storing funerary goods, and a series of rooms decorated with beautiful blue faience tiles meant to represent the king's palace in the afterlife. The builders of the step pyramid were not slaves, but skilled Egyptian labourers and craftsmen. Many were likely farmers who worked on the construction project during the annual Nile flood. The construction of the step pyramid required a wide range of skills. Quarrymen, boatmen, teams of haulers, stonemasons, toolmakers, engineers, artists and craftsmen, potters and scribes. It was a mobilization of the entire nation's talent. The successful completion of the step pyramid was not just an architectural triumph, but also a triumph of human organization. The pyramid was a symbol of national pride, a project built by a nation for its king and its gods. The step pyramid was the magnificent centerpiece of a much larger vision, a sprawling 15-hectare complex that served as an eternal city for the spirit of King Djoser. This vast enclosure was surrounded by a massive niched limestone wall that stretched for more than 1.6 kilometers and stood over 10 meters high. It was punctuated by 14 imposing gateways, yet only one of these was a true entrance. The other 13 were false doors, intended for the king's spirit, or Ka. This single, functional entrance led visitors through a narrow, colonnaded passageway, creating a dramatic, controlled approach, heightening the sense of mystery and reverence. Imhotep designed this space as a stage for eternal royal ceremonies. He created a stone microcosm of Egypt, with buildings representing the administrative centers of Upper and Lower Egypt. This was a powerful political and religious statement. These buildings are remarkable for Imhotep's innovative use of stone to mimic more fragile materials. The columns of the House of the North are carved to resemble papyrus stalks, a symbol of Lower Egypt. The columns of the House of the South are shaped like the single white lily, a symbol of Upper Egypt. Beneath the entire complex, an astonishing network of tunnels, shafts and chambers was carved out of the bedrock. Archaeologists have discovered over 40,000 stone vessels in these tunnels, many inherited from Djoser's ancestors. The most stunning discovery is the blue chambers. The walls are lined with thousands of beautiful blue faience tiles, arranged to imitate reed mat hangings. These chambers were meant to be the pharaoh's eternal palace, a secret, hidden paradise designed to last for all time. The Pyramid of Djoser was more than just a single spectacular achievement. It was a revolutionary prototype that created the blueprint for all pyramids to come. The most significant evolutionary step came with Pharaoh Sneferu. His bent pyramid is a perfect example. The builders started at a steep angle but were forced to change it, likely due to signs of structural instability. Undeterred, Sneferu commissioned a second pyramid nearby, the Red Pyramid. This time they got it right. The world's first successful, true, smooth-sided pyramid. The culmination of this architectural evolution is the Great Pyramid of Giza, built by Khufu. This colossal monument would not have been possible without the lessons learned from Djoser's pyramid. For centuries, its secrets were buried. But one man would redefine our view. French architect and Egyptologist Jean-Philippe Loewe. Beginning in 1926, he painstakingly excavated, studied and reconstructed the complex. More recent discoveries added new chapters. In 2020, after a lengthy restoration, the southern tomb opened to the public for the first time. One remarkable discovery was not a structure but a person. In the subterranean galleries, Loewe found seal impressions of Djoser's name and seal impressions of his vizier, Imhotep. Finding the architect's name alongside the king's confirmed Imhotep's central role. Imhotep's idea of translating organic forms into stone became a standard feature of Egyptian temple architecture. The reverence for Djoser and Imhotep themselves became a significant part of Egypt's cultural legacy. Today, nearly 4,700 years after its construction, the Pyramid of Djoser continues to captivate and inspire. It is the starting point, the origin story of Egypt's most iconic monuments, and a timeless icon of human creativity. It is a monument that tells a story of faith, power, and the extraordinary potential of human ingenuity. A story that continues to resonate with us across nearly 5 millennia, reminding us of the enduring power of a bold dream. Who was the man whose ambitions shaped the dawn of Egypt's Pyramid Age? Djoser, enigmatic king of the Third Dynasty. At the threshold of recorded history, his legacy towers above the sands, yet his life remains shrouded in mystery. Born Necherikhet, meaning divine of body, he inherited a kingdom poised for transformation. Likely son of Pharaoh Khafre and Queen Nimatap, ascending around 2670 BCE. His reign broke with the past, launching the Old Kingdom, Egypt's first golden age. Djoser's rule was innovation. He moved the royal necropolis to Sakara, leaving the old burial ground at Abydos. There he commissioned the Step Pyramid, a monument unlike anything before. Beyond stone, inscriptions show him as a builder, a lawgiver, a living god, protector of the people and holder of divine favor. He led campaigns into Sinai, securing resources and widening Egypt's influence. Central is his partnership with Imhotep, vizier, architect, high priest. Their names appear side by side in inscriptions, a rare sign of trust. Art and inscription show a commanding, pious ruler. Statues from his mortuary complex show serenity and resolve, draped in the seed festival cloak. Subterranean reliefs show him performing rituals for the gods. Legends credit him with averting famine and restoring temples. The famine stela later cements his image as a bringer of abundance. Material evidence, statues, seal impressions, foundation tablets, tangible anchors to his story. Questions remain. How long did he reign? Nearly 30 years, or much less. Founder of the Third Dynasty, or a powerful successor? Father of Sekhemkhet, or predecessor? Still, his impact is clear. He set the pharaonic template, religious authority, military might, the Step Pyramid, tomb, and a statement of divine kingship, prototype for all pyramids to come. Today, Djoser is man and myth, a visionary whose dreams reshaped a civilization, his legacy in stone, sand, and story. The Old Kingdom, often called the Age of the Pyramids, stands as a beacon in the story of civilization. For nearly 5 centuries, from 2686 to 2181 BCE, Egypt flourished under a single, powerful government. This era was marked by extraordinary political stability, as pharaohs ruled as living gods, and the Nile's rhythm brought order to life and death. Monumental pyramids and temples rose from the desert, their white limestone gleaming in the sun, symbols of ambition and divine authority. The heart of the Old Kingdom beat in Memphis, the capital, where a centralized bureaucracy managed resources with precision, grain, gold and labor, enabling feats of construction that still defy belief. It was an age of monumental ambition, and the Step Pyramid at Sakara was only the beginning. Soon, the great pyramids of Giza would pierce the sky, built by tens of thousands of skilled workers, engineers, masons and artists, each contributing to the pharaoh's immortal legacy. But the Old Kingdom was more than stone and spectacle. It was a vibrant society, alive with artisans carving serene statues, scribes at their scrolls, fishermen casting nets along the Nile, and families feasting by the riverbanks. Faith and artistry flourished. Columns soared like papyrus stalks, tombs shimmered with painted reliefs, and the earliest hieroglyphic texts adorned sacred walls. Advances in mathematics, medicine, and administration set foundations for centuries to come. Here, social order and artistic harmony shaped Egypt and the imagination of the world. The ideals of unity, vision, and innovation were woven into daily life, creating a civilization whose influence would echo through time. Even as the dynasty waned and new powers rose, the ideals forged in this golden age would inspire generations, an enduring legacy carved in stone and memory. The Old Kingdom's influence is seen in divine kingship, social order, and artistic harmony, shaping Egypt and the imagination of the world. Its monuments, inscriptions, and innovations remind us that from unity and vision, civilizations rise and endure. The story of the Old Kingdom is a testament to the enduring power of human creativity and the timeless quest for greatness. Beneath the endless Egyptian sky, the step pyramid of Djoser rises from the sands, its ancient tiers watching over the necropolis of Sakara. Here, in this sacred ground, pharaohs, priests and visionaries found their eternal rest, surrounded by tombs, temples, and the silent echoes of a civilization's dreams. Sakara is more than a resting place. It is a living testament to humanity's quest for meaning and immortality. Today, it forms a vital part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site known as Memphis and its necropolis. This designation marks Sakara and the Step Pyramid as treasures not only of Egypt, but of the entire world. UNESCO's emblem stands as a promise that the wonders of Sakara will be protected, studied and cherished for generations yet to come. As visitors walk among these stones, they join a story that spans millennia, a story of innovation, a story of faith, and a story of enduring hope. The Step Pyramid, once the heart of a pharaoh's vision, now stands as a beacon for all humanity. Its preservation is a shared responsibility, a reminder that our past is the foundation for our future. Let us celebrate Sakara, honor its legacy, and ensure that the wisdom and wonder of ancient Egypt continue to inspire the world, today and forever. The Ptolemaic Kingdom, a vibrant thread in ancient history, shimmered with Greek intellect and Egyptian tradition. For 3 centuries, it stood as a beacon of power in the Mediterranean. It began with Alexander the Great, whose conquests forged new destinies. His arrival in Egypt in 332 BC was seen as liberation, and he was crowned pharaoh. This planted the seeds of a new kingdom. After Alexander's death, his empire fell into chaos. Ptolemy, a trusted commander, secured Egypt, establishing a dynasty that would last nearly 300 years. The Ptolemaic Kingdom was born. Ptolemy the Soter established his capital in Alexandria, declaring himself pharaoh. His reign began a remarkable chapter where Greek rulers navigated an ancient land, shaping a unique Greco-Egyptian identity. The Ptolemaic dynasty represented a fascinating and unprecedented cultural experiment. Here, 2 powerful civilizations, those of Greece and Egypt, were brought into direct and continuous contact. The new Greek rulers did not simply impose their own ways upon the land they now controlled. Instead, they engaged in a careful and strategic process of adaptation and synthesis. They understood that to rule Egypt effectively, they needed the support of its people and its powerful priesthood. This led to a remarkable blending of traditions, creating a society that was Hellenistic in its administration and intellectual pursuits, yet profoundly Egyptian in its spiritual and ceremonial life. This fusion was visible everywhere, from the royal court to the smallest farming village. The Ptolemaic pharaohs, including the famous Cleopatra VII, presented themselves in a dual manner. To their Greek-speaking administrators and soldiers, they were Hellenistic monarchs, patrons of art and science. Yet on the walls of the grand temples they constructed, they were depicted in the traditional style of the pharaohs, making offerings to ancient Egyptian gods like Horus, Isis, and Osiris. This duality was the cornerstone of their political strategy, allowing them to maintain authority over a diverse population and project an image of continuity with Egypt's glorious past. Alexandria, the kingdom's magnificent capital, became the ultimate symbol of this new world. It was a cosmopolitan metropolis, home to Greeks, Egyptians, Jews, and people from across the Mediterranean. Its legendary Great Library and Museum turned the city into the intellectual epicenter of the ancient world. Scholars, scientists, philosophers, and poets flocked to its institutions, making groundbreaking discoveries in mathematics, astronomy, and medicine. The city itself was a masterpiece of Greek urban planning, with wide streets and grand public buildings, yet its heart beat to the rhythm of the Nile, its wealth drawn from the ancient agricultural bounty of the Egyptian countryside. The story of the Ptolemaic Kingdom is therefore not just a tale of kings and conquests, but a deeper exploration of cultural interaction. It is the story of how a foreign dynasty successfully integrated into one of the world's oldest civilizations, creating something entirely new in the process. We will journey through its rise to immense power, witness the flourishing of its unique culture, and explore the internal conflicts and external pressures that ultimately led to its dramatic downfall. This is the chronicle of the last pharaohs of Egypt, a dynasty of Greek origin that wrote the final, brilliant chapter of a 3,000-year-old saga before yielding to the rising power of Rome. Alexander the Great's death in 323 BC triggered shockwaves across his empire. The world held its breath. The king was gone, leaving a power vacuum. He had no clear heir. His generals, the Diadochi, carved up the world. Decades of conflict, the wars of the successors, replaced unity. Each general saw himself as the rightful heir. Ptolemy set his sights on Egypt. He knew Egypt was secure and prosperous. It was a land that could sustain itself. Ptolemy moved swiftly to consolidate his control. Ptolemy was determined to thrive, establishing a lasting kingdom. Ptolemy's first and most audacious act was the hijacking of Alexander the Great's funeral cortege. The body of the deified conqueror was being transported back to Macedon for burial, a procession of immense symbolic importance. Perdiccas, the imperial regent, intended to use the burial to legitimize his own authority. However, Ptolemy intercepted the procession in Syria and diverted it to Egypt. This was an act of breathtaking defiance. By bringing Alexander's body to Memphis and later to a magnificent tomb in Alexandria, Ptolemy was making a powerful statement. He was positioning himself as the true successor, the guardian of Alexander's legacy, and linking his own destiny directly to that of the celebrated hero. This bold move was a direct challenge to Perdiccas and the central authority of the empire, inevitably leading to war. In 321 BC, Perdiccas marched his grand imperial army to the borders of Egypt, determined to crush the defiant satrap. The ensuing conflict was a critical test for Ptolemy. He faced a numerically superior force led by the empire's most powerful man. Yet Ptolemy's strategic genius and the natural defences of the Nile proved decisive. He successfully repelled Perdiccas' attempts to cross the river, inflicting heavy casualties on the invading army. The failure was a humiliation for Perdiccas, whose own troops, demoralized and resentful, assassinated him in his tent. The defeat and death of Perdiccas dramatically altered the political landscape. Ptolemy's victory not only secured his hold on Egypt, but also elevated his status among the other Diadochi. He was no longer just a clever opportunist, he was a proven military commander who had successfully defended his realm against the full might of the empire. He prudently declined the offer to become the new regent, preferring to consolidate his power base in Egypt rather than get entangled in the chaotic politics of the wider empire. This decision showcased his remarkable foresight, a quality that would serve him well in the turbulent decades that followed. Over the next 20 years, Ptolemy continued to navigate the treacherous waters of the successor wars. He engaged in conflicts across the eastern Mediterranean, fighting to secure buffer zones for Egypt in Cyrene, Cyprus, and the Levant. He fought against the formidable Antigonus the One-Eyed, who sought to reunite Alexander's empire under his own rule. Though he suffered occasional setbacks, Ptolemy's primary focus never wavered from his Egyptian stronghold. Each campaign was carefully calculated to protect his core territory and enhance its wealth and security. He was patiently laying the groundwork for a kingdom that would endure for generations to come. By 305 BC, Alexander's unified empire was dead. The most powerful Diadochi, including Ptolemy, declared themselves kings. Ptolemy I became king of Egypt, adopting the title Basileus and the traditional title of Pharaoh. His reign marked the beginning of the Ptolemaic dynasty. Ptolemy defended Rhodes against Demetrius, earning the title Soter, meaning saviour. Ptolemy's rule was characterized by effective administration and a highly centralized bureaucracy. In 285 BC, Ptolemy abdicated, making his son co-regent. He left behind a stable and powerful kingdom. Ptolemy transformed Alexandria into the glittering capital of his kingdom. He founded the Great Library and the Museum, intellectual hubs of the Mediterranean world. The library aimed to collect all the world's knowledge, attracting scholars, scientists, and philosophers. Ptolemy understood that power was about cultural prestige, positioning his kingdom at the forefront of Hellenistic civilization. Ptolemy initiated religious syncretism, promoting the cult of Serapis, a deity for both Greeks and Egyptians. This blending of traditions created a shared cultural framework for their diverse kingdom. Ptolemy I Soter's groundwork came to fruition under his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, who ascended to the throne in 283 BC. His reign ushered in the golden age of the Ptolemaic Kingdom, peace, prosperity, and cultural brilliance. Philadelphus was a master diplomat, shrewd administrator, and patron of the arts and sciences. He elevated Ptolemaic Egypt to the apex of its power and influence. He married his sister, Arsinoe II, a practice imitating ancient Egyptian tradition to concentrate power within the royal family. Arsinoe was a formidable co-ruler who exerted considerable influence. Centralized control generated staggering revenues strategically deployed for public works like the Pharos lighthouse. Philadelphus maintained Egypt's dominance through military strength and diplomacy, solidifying its status as a superpower. The Ptolemaic Kingdom reached its greatest territorial extent during the reign of Ptolemy III, Euergetes. Euergetes launched the Third Syrian War to avenge his sister's murder. Ptolemy III led his army deep into enemy territory, reaching as far as Babylon. At its zenith, the Ptolemaic sphere of influence was immense, controlling Egypt, Libya, Cyprus, numerous Aegean islands, and coastal regions in Turkey, Syria, and Lebanon. This maritime empire was sustained by the most powerful navy in the Mediterranean. This political and military dominance was built upon an unparalleled economic foundation, with the agricultural wealth of the Nile Valley at its core. The Ptolemies managed grain production on an industrial scale. Egypt was the breadbasket of the Mediterranean during this golden age. Beyond agriculture, the Ptolemies fostered a vibrant and diverse economy, controlling trade routes for African elephants and luxury goods. Royal monopolies were established over key industries, ensuring that economic activity flowed into the state's coffers. This combination created a level of wealth that was the envy of the ancient world. The Ptolemaic rulers, particularly Philadelphus and Euergetes, were patrons of knowledge, earning them the title of scholar kings. Their most brilliant achievement was the continued expansion of the Great Library and Museum of Alexandria. These institutions were the heart of the Hellenistic intellectual world. The Ptolemies invested vast sums, viewing cultural supremacy as important as military might. They recruited brilliant minds, offering stipends and an environment for research. The library's collection grew to an astonishing size, with the mission to acquire a copy of every significant book ever written. Discoveries from the museum laid foundations for modern science. This flourishing was a direct consequence of the Ptolemies' vision. The Ptolemaic kings understood that by controlling knowledge they enhanced their power. Alexandria was the intellectual capital of the world. During its ascendant period, Alexandria became the quintessential Hellenistic city, a vibrant and cosmopolitan metropolis that was, quite frankly, a world unto itself. Its population swelled with people from every corner of the known world: Greeks who came as soldiers and administrators, Egyptians who flocked to the city for work, a large and influential Jewish community, and traders from Phoenicia, Syria, and beyond. This cultural melting pot created a dynamic and innovative urban environment. Greek was the language of government and high culture, but walking through the city's markets and alleyways, one would have heard a dozen different languages spoken. This diversity fueled an explosion of creativity in art, literature, and philosophy. The city's physical appearance was breathtaking, a testament to the wealth and ambition of its rulers. The Grand Canopic Way, the city's main thoroughfare, was lined with magnificent colonnades, temples, and gymnasia. At one end of the harbour stood the colossal Pharaohs lighthouse, its beacon visible for miles out at sea, a symbol of the city's welcome to the world. At the other end was the Royal Quarter, a vast complex of palaces, gardens, and administrative buildings overlooking the water. The city was a masterpiece of urban design, a planned city built to inspire awe and project an image of absolute power and limitless prosperity, the jewel in the Ptolemaic crown. Art and literature flourished in this stimulating environment. Alexandrian poetry, exemplified by figures like Callimachus and Theocritus, developed a new style. It was often learned, witty, and focused on individual emotion and everyday life, a departure from the grand epic traditions of classical Greece. Sculpture and other visual arts also developed a distinct style, blending the idealism of Greek art with a greater degree of realism and, in some cases, incorporating Egyptian motifs. This artistic output was not just for the elite. The city was filled with public art and entertainment, from theatrical performances to religious festivals, creating a rich cultural tapestry for all its inhabitants. This was the Ptolemaic Kingdom at its peak, powerful, wealthy, and intellectually supreme. From the military victories of Ptolemy III to the scholarly pursuits in the Great Library, the kingdom projected an aura of confidence and success. Alexandria stood as the ultimate symbol of this achievement, a city that was both the administrative center of a mighty empire and the cultural capital of the Hellenistic age. It was truly a golden era where the fusion of Greek ingenuity and Egyptian resources created one of the most brilliant civilizations of antiquity. Ptolemaic Egypt had a complex social structure defined by ethnicity and language. The king and Greek nobles were at the top, followed by officials and landowners. Below them were Greek settlers, soldiers, merchants, and scholars. The majority were native Egyptians, farmers, laborers, and artisans at the bottom. A divided legal system favored Greeks, causing tension and revolts. Over time, a mixed population emerged through intermarriage and cultural exchange, blurring social lines. Identities transformed in Ptolemaic Egypt's unique cultural environment. Religion in Ptolemaic Egypt saw the fusion of the ancient Egyptian pantheon with Greek deities. The Ptolemaic rulers embraced Egyptian religion, supporting temples and presenting themselves as pharaohs. The god Serapis, combining Osiris, Apis, Bull, Zeus, Hades and Asclepius, was created to appeal to both Greeks and Egyptians. His main cult center was the Serapeum in Alexandria. Traditional Egyptian gods like Isis flourished, her worship spreading far beyond Egypt. The Ptolemies restored and expanded temples. Egyptians identified their gods with Greek counterparts, creating a shared religious vocabulary. This religious pluralism defined the era, creating a uniquely Greco-Egyptian spiritual world. The Ptolemaic dynasty left behind magnificent temples throughout Upper Egypt. Though Greek rulers, they acted as traditional Egyptian pharaohs, constructing and maintaining houses for the gods. The Ptolemies honored local deities and employed thousands of Egyptians. This demonstrated their piety and commitment to ancient traditions. Built from sandstone, they followed the New Kingdom blueprint, featuring pylons and peristyle courts. Hypostyle halls led to the sanctuary housing the god's statue. Walls displayed reliefs and hieroglyphs depicting the king as pharaoh. The Temple of Horus at Edfu is the most complete surviving temple. It offers a glimpse into the period's architecture and rituals. Another jewel is the Temple of Isis on Philae. Dendera and Kom-Ombo temples further showcase the dynasty's building. These temples reveal the Ptolemaic rulers' dual identity. They performed rites practiced for millennia. These temples symbolize the Ptolemaic synthesis. The Ptolemaic Kingdom's military was a formidable force, guaranteeing security and projecting influence. The army reflected the kingdom's Greco-Egyptian character. At its core was a professional standing army based on the Macedonian model. One fearsome element was its corps of war elephants. Expeditions captured and trained these beasts, used to break enemy formations. The psychological impact of armored elephants was immense. The army relied on foreign mercenaries and a Greek ruling class. Before the Battle of Raphia, Ptolemy IV recruited native Egyptians. This empowered the Egyptian population, contributing to nationalist sentiment and revolts. The Ptolemaic Kingdom's dominance was due to its powerful and technologically advanced navy. Egypt, with its long Mediterranean coastline, was a natural maritime power. Their fleet was the largest and most sophisticated in the Mediterranean, allowing them to control the sea lanes. The Ptolemaic fleet was based in well-equipped harbours, with Alexandria as the main naval base. The ships themselves were marvels of Hellenistic engineering. These were fast, manoeuvrable warships designed for ramming. The Ptolemies were also famous for constructing gigantic polyremes, colossal warships. These behemoths were powerful tools of propaganda. It protected the vital shipping routes that brought immense wealth into the kingdom. It allowed the Ptolemies to maintain control over their overseas territories. In times of war, the fleet could transport troops and blockade enemy ports. The control of Cyprus in particular was crucial. This naval dominance was a key factor in the Syrian wars against the Seleucid Empire. The Ptolemaic navy allowed Egypt to support its allies and raid enemy coastlines. The Ptolemaic fleet was a clear signal of the kingdom's power. The Ptolemaic kingdom's power was built on the Nile's fertile land and a tightly controlled economy. The Ptolemies boosted agriculture with new crops and irrigation, making Egypt the breadbasket of the Mediterranean. Alexandria and Red Sea ports turned Egypt into a global trade hub, taxing exotic imports and exporting grain. The king monopolized key industries: papyrus, textiles, oil, brewing, mining, ensuring profits flowed straight to the royal treasury. Greek-speaking bureaucrats managed every detail, but this efficiency came at a cost: heavy taxes and labor demands on ordinary Egyptians. This wealth funded armies and monuments, but the system's inequalities would eventually fuel unrest. Under Ptolemy IV, weak leadership and corruption eroded the kingdom's stability. In a desperate move, native Egyptians were armed for the Battle of Raphia, winning the war but awakening their sense of power. Soon after, Upper Egypt erupted in rebellion, breaking away under native pharaohs for nearly 2 decades. The Ptolemies fought to regain control, draining resources and shattering unity. Even after the revolt ended, unrest and banditry plagued the countryside. The government, weakened and divided, struggled to maintain order. The once stable kingdom was now fractured, its foundations crumbling. As Egypt faltered, Rome's power surged across the Mediterranean. Seeking protection, Ptolemy V made Egypt a Roman client state, its independence now a mere illusion. Roman intervention repeatedly saved the dynasty, but at the cost of sovereignty. The infamous Day of Eleusis showed Rome's dominance. A Roman envoy forced a Seleucid king to withdraw from Egypt with a simple ultimatum. Ptolemaic rulers became pawns, their fate decided in the Roman Senate. Internal dynastic feuds played out for Roman amusement and advantage. As Rome descended into civil war, Egypt became a prize for ambitious generals like Caesar and Antony. The kingdom was no longer a player, but the board on which Rome's final struggles unfolded. Cleopatra VII, the last Ptolemy, was brilliant, ambitious, and determined to restore Egypt's glory. She allied with Julius Caesar, securing her throne and bearing him a son, Caesarion. After Caesar's death, she partnered with Mark Antony, ruling the East and dreaming of a new empire. Their alliance provoked Rome. Octavian declared war, painting Cleopatra as a dangerous foreign queen. At Actium, Antony and Cleopatra's forces were crushed. Facing defeat, they took their own lives as Octavian's legions closed in. With their deaths, the Ptolemaic dynasty ended and Egypt became a Roman province. The Ptolemies' rule ended, but their legacy endured. Their temples, Edfu Dendera Philae, preserved Egyptian art and religion. The Library of Alexandria made Egypt the intellectual heart of the ancient world, shaping science and philosophy for centuries. Greek and Egyptian cultures fused, influencing art and spreading the cult of Isis across the Roman Empire. Their administrative system, centralized, efficient and exploitative, became the model for Roman rule. Egypt remained the empire's breadbasket, its wealth and knowledge outliving the dynasty. The Ptolemies left a mark on history, carved in stone and memory. The Ptolemaic dynasty had strange traditions, most notably royal sibling marriage. Beginning with Ptolemy II and his sister Arsinoe II, many Ptolemaic kings married their sisters, imitating the divine marriages in Egyptian mythology. This reinforced the dynasty's status and kept power within the family. Another peculiar aspect was the repetitive use of names like Ptolemy, Cleopatra, or Berenice. Historians use epithets to distinguish them, like Ptolemy II Philadelphus or Ptolemy VIII Euergetes II, nicknamed Potbelly. The Ptolemies also maintained a unique core of war elephants, sourcing smaller African forest elephants. These elephants became a symbol of Ptolemaic power. With Cleopatra's death in 30 BC, Egypt was annexed by Octavian, soon to be Emperor Augustus. The transformation was immediate. Egypt became the Roman emperor's personal property. Its wealth flowed directly into his treasury. Egypt was the empire's breadbasket, its resources under absolute control. Culturally, the Roman era saw a continuation of the Greco-Egyptian synthesis. Mummy portraits flourished, combining Egyptian mummification with Greco-Roman portraiture. Roman emperors were depicted as pharaohs in temples. Egypt's primary role became economic, to produce grain to feed Rome. The land of the pharaohs was now a cog in the machine of Roman power. Our journey through the history of the Ptolemaic Kingdom has taken us from its founder, Ptolemy I Soter, to its last queen, Cleopatra VII. For 3 centuries, this Macedonian Greek dynasty ruled over Egypt, presiding over a period of immense wealth and cultural fusion. They built a kingdom that was both a formidable military power and a beacon of Hellenistic civilization. The Ptolemaic pharaohs presented themselves as legitimate successors to Egypt's ancient rulers. Yet the seeds of decay were sown within the dynasty itself, through weak rulers and family rivalries. This internal weakness made the Ptolemaic state vulnerable to the rising power of Rome. With Cleopatra's death, the line of the Ptolemies was extinguished. The last chapter of ancient Egypt had been written by a Greek dynasty. The Ptolemaic Kingdom stands as one of history's most compelling experiments in syncretism. The Ptolemies engaged with Egyptian culture, fusing it with their own traditions, visible in their art and religion. The kingdom represents a bridge between Greece and the Near East. The intellectual fire lit in Ptolemaic Alexandria continues to cast a long shadow. It is a tale filled with larger-than-life characters from Ptolemy I to Cleopatra VII. The physical remains of their rule draw millions of visitors. It shows how cultures can collide and merge, creating new identities. Their story continues to fascinate us to this day.